to talk about some other stuff on my other channel as well.
Yeah.
Okay. We are live.
Yep.
If anyone comes in the chat, I see the little thingamabob there with the eyes, so I'll know if anybody is actually watching.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Here the Weirdos Book Club. I am Brendan the Beldam.
Hello, I'm Forehead Heather. Welcome.
And yeah, the reason we took a bit of a break for us last month, we still did we talked about our books, or a book in particular, but we kind of just wanted to take a break from this, like doing this publicly. So gave it some thoughts, and we decided we wanted to come back like in a big way, because we were reading we're reading a pretty special book for the month of October. And was it a first time read for you, Heather? Because it was for me.
Yes,
okay.
First time read for me as well.
And if you guys haven't guessed what the book is by the lighting and my shirt, we are going to be talking about William Peter Blatty's The Exorcist. Do you have your copy?
I don't. I read mine on Kindle from the library, so imagine that it's here.
It's you know what? Just pretend it's like, I'll loan you a copy.
Yes.
I'm loaning my copy. It's just like it's right there.
I know. I was doing the Lord's work and using the library, so
Support your libraries, people, please.
Yeah. I was like, I got the audio and the book both from Libby and read and listened to it on my tablet. So I do not have a physical copy to hold up.
Well, I think I'm more of a cheapskate, because when it comes to audiobooks, unless I can't find it on I always go into the depths of the internet to see if I could find a free version, whether it's on YouTube or any other site. Basically, pirating, because I don't know, audiobooks are expensive. People I plan to get the Harry Potter audiobooks on Audible. The first one's like $30.
Yeah, if you have a subscription, it's $13 and some change a month.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a credit once a month. And if you're also a member, the prices are severely slashed. It's not $30. So
yeah.
If I buy it, I wonder if I can send you my account and you can listen to it on there. I'll have to see how that works. But
that's very thoughtful of you, Heather. Oh my gosh.
No,
okay.
that's what I do too. First I use the Libby app to see if there's the book and the audiobook on there. Then I look on Hoopla, which is another library thing. Then I'll look on YouTube. Then I'll look on the internet, and I use my Audible credit as a last resort. So
yeah. I kind of do this. I do something similar. I use Hoopla, which, if they ever have the audiobook, that's basically like Audible. So they have a credit system. You could check out 6 books a month, I think. So I have to use those sparingly as well. But yeah, that's mainly library associated. So I prefer to use that over Amazon. But
Yeah.
we're talking about The Exorcist. we're not
Yes.
talking about
I was
we're
like,
not talking about
well,
Amazon or Audible or whatever. This is one
what
of the
is,
most.
yeah.
I mean, okay, we know how this works. You're the lady, so you go first. What did you think of this book?
So my history with this franchise is I saw the movie from 1973 when I was a teenager. And then I didn't watch it until I looked on Letterboxd today, October of 2020. So I've only seen the movie twice, but it is very ingrained in my head. I've also seen The Exorcist 2 and The Exorcist 3 and Exorcist Believer. So I haven't seen like the two movies, the prequel and Dominion, that both came out in 2005, but they're like the same movie but different. Um, so I seen the movie first and then I read the book, and I don't know. The book came out in 1971, and I don't know, the dialogue and the characters I was not latching on to in the book as much as I was the movie. And I think watching the movie first tainted my view of the book because
Mhm.
I was wanting more of Reagan's perspective, and you don't really get her perspective. I mean, it's called The Exorcist. You get more of Father Karras. So
Right.
I'm kind of in the middle. Right now, my rating is like a 3 star because I finished it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't fall in love with it. So I don't know. I'm trying to be convinced on a higher rating. So that's what I'm hoping you can do for me.
Well, I'll do my best.
Okay.
Uh, so hmm, we are we're still a fairly new like book club. We've just been
Mhm.
doing this for I think we've been doing this for just I think over it's been like a year now.
Yeah, about a
Yeah.
year. I was gonna say give or take a couple months hiatus.
Yeah. Um. So the books we've read in the past in our book club, they've been I think they've been fairly a lot easier to read than this book.
Hmm.
This this is probably one of the most challenging books I've ever read. And I've read my fair share of a lot of like adult challenging books,
Hmm.
but I I don't want to give the impression that I don't want to like overhype this book because it's a classic. It's a classic literature, or just like the movie is a classic piece of cinema.
Hmm.
But yeah, I definitely I could see where you're coming from because the characters, as well written as this book was, and the characters are so deep and complex and like they're layered. I understand that it's kind of hard because this book was written in the 70s. So there's kind of like that distance between you don't quite like attach to these characters from this um uh this era, I should say.
Hmm.
Um it's a book that I admire. I gave the book 5 stars
I
just because of
saw.
how powerful, and it's absolutely like I feel like giving anything less than 5 stars to this book would be like a sin. But personally
Hmm.
speaking, personal taste, I think I would prefer reading something like My Best Friend's Exorcism over this again.
Yeah.
But yeah, my I guess my history with exorcism is it's similar to yours. Like it's the timeline's kind of mixed, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see the film The Exorcist until I think in my until my 20s. And then I didn't see the rest of The Exorcist. I didn't even see the prequels or the first sequel. I do remember seeing. I think I told you the image that I had when I was a kid, and The Exorcist 3 was playing on TV, and I woke up and I was sleeping at a friend's house, and I woke up just as the camera zoomed in on those yellow eyes.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was like,
That's traumatizing.
yeah, it was just like 3 or 4 in the morning. I woke up, the TV was on, and all of a sudden it's just like this quick zoom of like right into his yellow eyes. I was just like, I can't go back to sleep now. That
Mm-mm.
image is going to be burned in my brain the rest of the night. With The Exorcist, the movie, all I've heard about it was like how it's this amazing, like it's an amazing classic. It's classic horror for the 70s, kind of like how Halloween was.
Mm-hmm.
And when I finally got around to seeing it, it's a film I definitely respect. I can understand where people like what it did for the genre and why people appreciate it and actually love it. But it wasn't a film I immediately like gravitated towards. It was very slow burn. It wasn't like because of the time period it came out. So it was just hard to gravitate towards that film until I eventually came around to rewatching it again with like a new eyes. But when I was reading this book, it was hard to not picture the actors in the movie
Yeah.
in the book because
Yeah.
the movie is so famous. It's pretty much like right up. It's like one of the most famous horror movies ever made. Like right up there with The Shining, and how like it influenced popular culture. It's the movie has been like satirized. It's been copied again and again, like imitated. But so you can kind of like understand like the perspective of like when you actually read the book the movie was based on, all the images that are presented in the book. I don't want to say it wasn't shocking because it was. The scenes from the movie are in the book, but I think the book takes it to a more like graphic, more detailed level.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know what I'm talking, and if you know the scenes I'm talking about, then you know exactly what I mean.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was doing because I had seen the movie. That's what I said. I think they tainted it a little bit. The book was not as shocking to me because I knew what was going to happen, but reading it, it was written very well. It was
Mm-hmm.
described very well. I could picture everything in my head. I was like, oh, this is kind of fun reading it, and the movie is playing in my head.
Yes, but the book, it's not like I don't want to give the impression it's not like a literal translation of the movie. It's not like a word for word reenactment of the movie from the book because the book came out first, obviously. If anything, the movie is a retelling of the book. They just took some scenes and like mixed them around, but it is very much a real adaptation of the story. So,
Yeah, I was bored until part 4.
mm,
I like the prologue talking about Pazuzu. I think that was one of the only times the demon was named in the book. The prologue, that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm glad this was short. part one talking about the mom, Chris, and her acting career, and just, her and her husband being divorced, and he's not there, and they're renting this house. And for a book that was almost 400 pages, it just felt very repetitive and very dialogue heavy, and not a lot of plot was happening. Like, there was, of course, once the Ouija board got introduced, and the party scene, I think, was the first time where something happened. That was like, oh,
Mhm.
okay, that's fun. And then it's very procedural, and it's very medical. Like, you spend a lot of
Yes,
time
yes,
with figuring out them trying to diagnose her, which I appreciated because as a nurse, I mean, even then back in the 70s, a lot of the stuff they were talking about, it was medically accurate. I didn't have a problem with any of that. But I'm like, man, like, because I already knew what was happening, I wanted to get to that part. So I think that was the problem with me, is I had already seen the movie and I was like, oh no. But part four saved it because it was great.
yeah. I think with the movie, the movie they basically like summarize Reagan's diagnosis scenes. In the book, it was I understand I understand what Blatty was doing. There was like this whole exploration of science and medical science versus what religious beliefs are. Can a person be possessed, like literally possessed, or is it something more like, you know, a mental diagnosis, something that's
Mhm.
inside them that's not particularly like a demonic entity? And I thought it was interesting, but yeah, I agree with you. I think it just went on for too long. It's
Mhm.
like, okay, we we know that Reagan is actually she's in the process of slowly being possessed. So this kind of medical jargon, and it just kept going and going. I was like, okay, and I don't blame I don't blame the author because the book came out first. So maybe at the time before the movie came out, that was pretty groundbreaking stuff. Like I don't I don't know if medical science was it was like gaining more and more attention back then because it was in the early 70s.
Mhm.
So I don't fault the author for that. The movie kind of just like summarized it in a way where we could understand.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it was visually like a movie. So you could see like stuff that was like, stuff that was explained in the book, but you get to see it like on a visual like format, especially with like the actual representation, the actual like the images of like Pazuzu.
Mhm.
So yeah, I
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think it starts on April 1st was the first encounter of Reagan saying things at night or hearing things in her room. And her mom said something to the effect of, "That's really weird. You shouldn't be playing an April Fool's joke on me." And then from that starting point till the actual exorcism was performed by Father Marin and Father Casters, was like the end of May. So you're getting the whole book is maybe like 2 months at most. But the movie I thought did better with the medical things because they were ruling things out. It felt like within a week. Like, you're at the hospital, they're doing CAT scans, they're doing MRIs, they're doing spinal taps, they're looking at blood work. This just felt like the chapters just was dragging on. Like, I was like, okay, she's on Librium. That's cool. It's a sedative, but it just kept
Mhm.
talking about it. And oh, it was 400 milligrams. That's crazy to give to an 11-year-old, and it's not touching her. I was like, man, this is just really filler. Like, come on. I was like, I want to get to the action here.
something I wanted to ask you as a nurse or like
Mhm.
a practicing nurse. What is like the filler of not the filler like I didn't understand like the milligrams segment like they kept like upping the dosage, and I was just like, what does that mean? Like, what is that doing to Reagan if they give her like a certain amount of milligrams of something?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
what is?
like when you administer medication, so they were injecting it either IM, which is intramuscular, or IV, which is intravenous. And the particular medication, because I was looking at that up, I was like, I don't think we use Librum anymore. It's an old school sedative that is not used, but it is one of those that it's a slower acting drug. It has a longer half-life, so you inject it, but the mechanism of action, it doesn't hit you until later. So
Hmm.
they were trying to give her medicine, and it's like the demon was rejecting it, so they kept giving her more and more and more to up it. And I was like, I understand what they're saying. Like, this should not be happening to her. Any other 11-year-old would be dead by now because her liver would shut down.
Oh
But
my
the fact,
gosh,
you
yes.
know, and then them talking about like putting in the nasal gastric tube, like it did a really good job of saying just how her body was deteriorating and how close to death that she was. But I was like, oh no, I want to see more of the demon doing like fucked up shit around the house. I don't even think the book had one of the famous lines in there. Did you, or unless I missed it, like your
Like
mother sucks rocks in hell? I
what an
don't
excellent
think.
what an excellent day for an exorcism.
No, your mother sucks cocks in hell. I don't remember that being in the book. I was like, was that just the movie? Pazuzu threw around the "see you next Tuesday" word a lot,
Oh,
but I don't remember him saying
that
that.
was I think that's because of how do we talk about this book without without spoiling a bunch of shit? Because I know this book is like, oh my god, I think it's like what 54 years old, 55.
Yeah, so 1971. So yeah,
But there are still people who have not read the book or seen the movie, so we shouldn't like I don't know allude to or maybe not like outright spoil like certain scenes or moments unless until they actually have
yeah,
read the book.
yeah.
That's
I'll
just
stay away from like part four, but the general
oh my gosh.
synopsis, yeah.
If you're wondering if you were watching the replay of this, we absolutely would recommend reading the book. We recommend like all the books that we pick for this club. Like they're absolutely worth the read, and this one is no exception.
hmm
It's just a very slow burn of a book. You have to like have a lot of patience with.
hmm It's very interesting because I read Rosemary's Baby, which came out before this book, and it's very dated too. But for some reason, I don't know if it was just written because it was more character driven. I gave that book 5 stars. I loved it. I also loved the movie, but I don't know. It just didn't seem. Chris, the mom, got on my nerves. I think that might have been a big problem. Like she just felt like, and I understand, like I empathize with her. She doesn't
Yeah,
know what's going on with her daughter. She's, exhausted all these options, but she
yeah.
just like reminded me of Nancy Thompson's mom in A Nightmare on Elm Street being drunk all the time. And like I was having a really hard time feeling bad for her because I was like, damn, how much money do these people have that like they're renting this house? They didn't even own this house. Reagan found this Ouija board in the basement of this house that they're renting, and she's got like private tutors, and they had cooks and they had maids. I don't know. The way that Chris was written, she just did not feel like a strong character. She felt just drunk and whiny the whole time. The only time I really latched onto her when she was just pleading to the priest, like, that's not my daughter. That's when I felt bad for her. But before then, I was like, oh my gosh, she's driving me crazy.
I didn't have any real issues with Chris as a character. I mean, I don't have children of my own, but I can understand where she's coming from. Like her,
Hmm.
you know, I mean, I don't know. I guess the best way to ask this is like, if you could put yourself in her shoes, like, what if your child became possessed and there was nothing like you could do about it, like, and it was just, I don't know, upsetting you.
Hmm.
Like, you've exhausted all your options. She went to the doctor. She went to Father Karras, and then Father Karras had to go and like get an actual exorcism approval. But before that, he had to actually see if Reagan herself was actually possessed,
Hmm.
and that must have been like a really daunting thing for her to do. But I can understand like where you're like, where you're coming from with that. Like, she was upset. She did get upset a lot, but it was
Hmm.
for an understandable reason. She wasn't just like, moping and woping and just uh bitching about like dumb shit. Like her daughter was like, it was a medical thing. It wasn't just about her. It was
Hmm.
about something she cared. It was about something she loved and cared about. And like on top of that, her father or her husband wasn't even in the picture. So
Yeah.
she had that. She had that going on. And Reagan, like, she's just like this. She's just like the embodiment of like sweet and nice, and just like to see, I guess from Chris's perspective, to see all uh, these things come out of her daughter's mouth, and how she's like slowly deteriorating and just like becoming more and more demonic. It's like, how would you feel if that was your kid?
Yeah, I mean, I would probably do the exact same thing. Like, you start, when you hear hoof beats, you think horses, not zebras. So that's not the first thing you're gonna think of is, damn, you're demon possessed. Is you start at the simple things like, is it a brain tumor? Is it, an electrolyte imbalance? Is there something mentally going on? And she did everything right. I just felt like her character, her and Reagan both were written very one dimensional. Like, Reagan's only attribute was the fact that she was 11 and she was supposed to be sweet. And then Chris's only like descriptor of her is she's a mom and she drinks and she's an actress and she's at her wits end. But I kept telling myself the story is really not about them. Like, they're kind of the catalyst is really about Father Karras. They're kind of secondary characters. But even with him, I felt like his crisis of faith to me came off better in the movie than it did the book. Because I enjoyed the book,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Like I said, I can be persuaded. I feel like there's something I was missing.
Yeah, Damien Karras as a character. Hmm. I guess he got more interesting as the book went on, and we learn more about him.
Hmm.
Because when we're first introduced to him, I'm assuming that was Father Karras in the opening when uh, that took place in Iraq.
I think that
When
was Father Marin, the
was it
older
Father Merrill?
man. I think because he's the one that had seen him, Pazuzu before.
Yeah, Well,
He kind of bookend the book. He was in the very beginning and then the very end.
yeah, I was. I think I was on the same lane as you. Like the prologue of the book, I thought it was there to set up like the entity of Pazuzu,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. It was like it was short, but I really didn't think it was that necessary because it wasn't really that interesting. But mm, what do I know? That's but yeah. Father Karras became. I guess he became more and more interesting as the book went on. And then eventually, when we finally get to the finale that the movie did, um, with him and Father Merrin like teaming up to confront this evil. I mean, the stuff before that was really the stuff like when he was like talking one on one with Reagan when she did become possessed. That was when I was kind of finding the book more interesting
Yep.
because I was just like I was waiting because I know that scene from the movie and I was like, okay, we're just waiting for the stuff that we know we've seen in the movie. We're just waiting for that stuff to come out, but in book form. And yeah, um, I I watched a video recently by the channel Possessed by Horror. Do you know who Sarah Hawkins?
Sarah, yeah, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
subscribed to her.
Well, she did a recent video on Halloween, I believe, where she read 3 horror books, and one of them was this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she had the same thoughts as we did. She loved the I think she loved the book, but she was finding it like you know um, it's not like it's really dense or anything. Like the writing is very easy to comprehend and understand. It's just like I don't know. Like, is it dense to you? The writing
I
style?
didn't think it was dense at all. It was very easy to understand. It flowed really well. They didn't use really big medical jargon. They didn't use a lot of like, I'm not Catholic, so they didn't use a lot of Catholicism words. I didn't find myself having to look things up that I didn't know. It made it very easy for the common person to follow the story.
Yeah, that is true. I'm just like, okay, I don't know. It was just a yeah, it was. I think it was pretty easy to get to read. It's just like the ideas were very like thought provoking.
Hmm.
The story was very thought provoking. Um, so
But you gave it 5 stars. I don't know. I
yeah,
just didn't have a lot of thoughts going on. And I don't know, like I said, if I've seen things that have done it better with crisis of faith and religious horror, because I'm in the same boat as you. I've read Grady Hendrix, my best friend's exorcism, twice and gave it 5 stars both times. That one is a lot easier to reread. There's a lot of horrific things in there. There's a lot of body horror. There's a lot of
yeah,
metaphors. The friendship is fantastic. I was more entertained. This one, I'm sure if I read it, if I was alive in 1971, probably would have been fantastic. But I've read a lot more things that I have feel like have done this particular thing better. So it's not this book's fault because it was one of the first, but I
I
was just
agree.
bored. I was just like bored. but not so bored that I couldn't keep going. But I was just like, man, I just wanted more demon shenanigans, I think. And that really wasn't the
Yeah.
point of the book. It was Father Karras and where he started at and where he ended and kind of his journey. And like, Chris and Reagan were in the book, but it wasn't through their perspective and they were kind of secondary characters.
I don't know if you could hear that in the background. My brother's like
Mm-mm.
watching something, or he's got his TV up loud. So
No,
I'm
anything.
sorry if you guys. I'm sorry, Heather, if you guys are
No.
watching. Like you can hear like explosions in the back. That is my brother. Keeps his door open and he like watches movies. So I'm
Oh, okay.
sorry for that.
I was like, no, I can't hear anything. I wonder how the sequel is. Legion? I am interested because I don't know anything about that.
I don't either. I think I own one of them. Um, I don't. I forgot. I don't know which one, but I know I own one of the prequels. I don't own nor have I seen Heretic, the Exorcism sequel,
Mm,
and I haven't heard good things about that movie. So
no, it's
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 bad.
man, they like threw everything against the wall on that one. I don't even know how to describe. There's like locusts, there's dancing scenes, there's like mind control. There's so many things. It's not very cohesive at all.
Hmm. Um.
Yeah, the third one's really good. That one I feel like has become a fan favorite.
Oh, the Exorcism 3. Yeah,
Hmm.
I know you.
Exorcist Believer, I really like. I find myself thinking about that one and
Me
reading this
too.
book. I actually wanted to rewatch that more than I did The Exorcist because I feel like I got a lot more out of that movie
You.
only seeing it once. I was like, I need to rewatch it because I think I gave it a 3.5. I was really bummed that there was not going to be the following movies to it. And I was like, I feel like I was the only one.
Yeah, I think you and I are on the same boat with that one. Like I thought Exorcist Believer was really good too. Like uh I don't know. I think people just damn the public. They they don't want to go um well I can't say that I didn't go support that movie in the theaters because I didn't. I wish I
I
did.
know I saw it at home.
I bought I bought the Blu-ray though. So does that
Really? Well, that's
count?
good.
I gave it my support.
Yeah,
I,
I want to buy it because I have like I think three of the Exorcist movies on Blu-ray, so I need to get that one. See what they Black Friday deals they have going on. I did think the body horror in this book was very good. So if you've seen the movie and you
oh
know
yeah.
that there's, three major scenes
Hmm.
that if you were reading back in 1971 when they didn't really have extreme horror or Stephen King or things, that would probably be extremely shocking. Um,
Yeah. We are
It was
so
hard though with the party scene, not picturing Scary Movie 2
yeah.
and the regular movie because I had both of those going on and I was like,
Yeah.
oh no.
Oh my god. Oh no. I
I
love
was
the
like,
first
oh.
I I love the first two scary movies so much. They are in my opinion like comedy masterpieces. But those movies, like, they have become like the original Exorcist, have become so synonymous in pop culture that I've seen I've seen people confuse like the spoof Scream with the real Scream.
Right,
And
yeah.
when people talk about The Exorcist, sometimes they mention like the opening scene of Scary Movie 2 because it is such a good parody.
That, yeah, it was
It
really
was
good.
really good. It was like it felt like The Exorcist, except they were just mocking it. Like I cannot. It's hard for me to picture the original Father Mary now because all I can picture is James Woods' version.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I thought. When she was crawling down like a spider, I was picturing the original, and then they started talking about playing the piano, and I'm thinking, I'm like, oh my God, shake your ass, watch
Watch
yourself.
yourself. Shake your.
I was like, oh no, I had merged both of them, so it was scary and then funny.
Me too. I really didn't. I don't know. I did not have that problem with like the Scream movies, like because I always thought that Ghostface was actually because the way they portrayed him, he was clumsy. Anyways, they just update in Scary Movie. They made him be even more of a clumps, like a klutz. So it did really like I could separate, those two versions of Scream. I could take him seriously, but also see him as funny. But I could do the same
Mhm.
thing with like the classic horrors that they spoof. I could
Yeah,
watch
see,
The
I
Exorcist and
watched
yeah,
Scream all in high school, and I didn't watch Scary Movie. I mean, it's been in the last 5 years, was the first time that I had seen it. And so I didn't have that ruined for me.
oh, oh man, I,
Yeah, I was like, it came
I
out and I would have been a teenager. It just hit different. I was like 35 when I saw it for the first time. And I'm not the biggest fan of the Scary Movie franchise. Like I said, I missed out. If I watched it younger, I would have loved
yeah,
it. But watching it in your 30s, I'm like, oh, it's okay. There's some scenes that are really funny, but I was like, oh man.
I I think I saw it. I think I saw it at the exact right time because I watched it on VHS,
Okay.
and I was just not when I was a teenager, not when I was an adult. I saw it when I was a kid. I think it right like it came out 2001, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
and so I would have been about obviously like 10 years old, and I watched those movies over and over and over again. I think I did recognize a few of the satires that was poking fun at. Obviously, I knew Scream because I had seen Scream 2 and maybe Scream 1 like before that. Um I I didn't see I know what you did last summer until a little later, but that scene where um Greg is getting killed by Ghostface on the
Mm-hmm.
balcony. That was like directly like ripping off or spoofing like the scene in I Know What You Did Last Summer,
Right.
the original. And then the whole "What are you waiting for, huh?" I didn't know that was a line that was in I Know What You Did Last Summer. I thought that was just a line for the movie for that movie.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't know that. And so when I watched I Know What You Did Last Summer along with these other movies, I was just like, now it
That's
makes
where that's from.
that's where that's from. So yeah, I'm actually excited for Scary Movie 6. Like, I'm so happy it's back in the Wayans brothers control. They're bringing back the comedy that was more like outrageous and like just went there. And the first
Mhm.
two movies, like, because like 3 onward went on, they became much more slapsticky, in my
Okay.
opinion. So I didn't care as much for 3, 4. I did like Scary Movie 5 a little bit though. I mean, that one is kind of the black sheep of the franchise, but you know
Okay.
what? I like the Evil Dead, the Evil Dead spoof in that movie, the Fede Alvarez one.
Hmm.
They spoofed that movie, that movie, and I thought it was funny. I didn't really, I did not really care for 3 and 4 to be honest, except for like the banter between Kevin Hart and Anthony Anderson.
Okay.
That shit I found hilarious. But then they
Hmm.
were like spoofing stuff like that wasn't even remotely horror. Like they were spoofing like 8 Mile and Scary Movie 3. I'm like, this isn't a horror film though. Why are they spoofing
Aw.
this? So
Yeah.
that's just where I was like, okay. I know like the third one is nostalgic, like the first two were to a lot of people. I didn't really care for it. I've only really, really loved the first two, and I hope when Scary Movie 6 comes out, it's going to be like my third favorite of the franchise.
I hope so too.
I
Yeah,
just hope
Eric and I were looking at that today, and he's like, "Oh, it looks like based on this thumbnail, like they're wanting to do spoofs of Get Out and It, Midsommar, so more
yeah,
modern from the
sorry.
2010s horror." I was like,
Sorry,
"Oh man."
not to be like the actually guy.
Uh-huh.
Like the movies that have been confirmed that they're spoofing are Get Out,
Okay.
um, Nope, Heretic, Long Legs, the new I Know What You Did Last Summer, and the Scream movies,
Okay.
and the
Can
Terrifier.
you, oh, that's right. It was, I was like,
Yeah,
I knew,
yeah.
yeah, we had seen
They're
a
gonna spoof
thumbnail.
Terrifier too.
Okay.
I don't. I just hope it's like even though it's a parody, I hope it's gonna be the writing is gonna like how are you gonna like combine all these movies to make it more like a cohesive like narrative? That's what I'm really wondering because it is a lot of movies and they spoofed a lot of
Mhm.
movies in past ones, but it just became like a juggle like clusterfuck of like okay, like you're just referencing movies now, and that's what the movies did after the scary movie franchise was coming out. And
Yeah.
those like parody movies just like they just blew up in smoke and everybody hates those movies now.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'll probably wait and watch it on streaming because, like, it's not my franchise, but it looks and sounds a lot better than 4 and 5. I think I've only seen the first three, and I kind of tapped out.
Yeah. Well, when the Scream 7 trailer dropped, everybody was talking about that one and I was like I was talking about it on my friend Knight's chat when he was talking about it with Killjoy Jake,
Hmm.
and I said, "Are we gonna get the same like coverage for this trailer when Scary Movie 6's trailer comes out?" Because, and Jake was like, "Oh, because it's Scary Movie is kind of the other Ghostface franchise,
Hmm.
and because all the cast of the original Scary Movie they're coming back for this one, including Doofy."
That's awesome.
That is awesome. I that's the whole reason I want to go support this in the theater because I love like that was the thing that was tapped on in the original like Scream, the potential that Dewey could be Ghostface. And Scary Movie just took that concept and said, "Yeah, we're going to make our version of Doofy like he's going to be the killer in ours, and he's coming back, and they're going to age up the Ghostface mask like they did in Scream 6."
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a good twist though.
Hmm.
In Scary Movie, I was like, that
Yeah,
was actually really good.
who didn't see that coming?
Mm-mm. Was there any quotes in this book that stood out to you?
Uh,
Like I said,
well,
the one about, your mother sucks cocks in hell. I don't think that was in the book. I think that was just in the movie. That didn't pop out. But yeah,
um,
the language of Reagan wasn't as bad.
I I actually disagree. I think it was worse in the book.
Do you think it was? Oh,
I think it
okay.
was way more explicit. Like
Maybe
she
I'm
was
just desensitized. I don't know.
she was just throwing out cunts and right and left like freaking Oprah. You get a cunt. You get a cunt. You get a cunt.
Pig. Yeah, I was like, that was his favorite word. And I thought that was funny. I was like, oh, okay.
But you're right. Like when you were talking when you said that people who read this or saw the movie in 71 or 76 or I think it was 4, right? 1974 when it came out, or was it 76?
73.
73?
Yeah.
I can understand. People, like, maybe people who saw this in the theater were shocked by that back then because it
Hmm.
was, I think it was unknown at the time to see such a young, like, girl saying all these vulgar things.
I think
But,
that's what it was. It was who it was coming from. It
yeah,
wasn't an adult.
yeah, you're right.
Because you have
Plus,
her, even in the book, coming home and she's talking, oh, the horses, they were so beautiful and so
yeah,
magical. And I was like, oh, okay.
maybe a
She's
little,
put,
maybe, I don't blame, like, Linda Blair for that. Maybe she was a
no,
little,
no,
maybe
even in the book, the audio narrator, that he upped his voice a few octaves to make it super squeaky.
I was listening to the book on YouTube and it was narrated by William.
Hmm.
Did you read that? Did you listen
Yeah.
to that?
I was like, I got it from Libby, and it was narrated by the author, William. He did a really good job of
Oh yeah,
voicing different, like male, female, and Reagan, and then Demon.
yeah. It's just a man. You can understand like what like a 30, 40-year-old man like voicing a child. That's gonna be like a tough task unless you're a voice
Hmm.
actor.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, there wasn't a lot of quotes that stuck out. I didn't annotate, when I was on or underline or write anything down. I was like, okay.
Outside of like the power of Christ compels you,
Hmm.
like all the famous quotes from the book we've already seen in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've watching this or reading this in 2025 after seeing so many other like movies that push like the envelope and push like the ground or not push the ground like uh you know what I mean, push boundaries on like what could be done
Hmm.
in horror. We've seen so much of that now. Like we're most of us are just like you said completely desensitized to it and we just it sounds kind of mean, but we just the majority of us don't really find the stuff shocking anymore.
Yeah, especially you having me read Terrifier 2 novelization so recently. Like, that's pretty much burned in my brain. I was like, oh man. I was like, this one wasn't as bad.
Yeah, I think that one, Terrifier 2, is much more like intentionally and physically graphic than this
Hmm.
one. Now, this one has like graphic scenes too, but like Terrifier does it in more. It's more of an over the top fashion. Like it's intentionally supposed to be like you know grotesque or whatever.
Hmm.
That's just who Art is as a character. Uh, I asked Gemini, for some possible points of discussion for the book in case we ran out of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know, like, I was just like curious because of your history as a you're not Catholic or you're Christian, right?
Yeah, just Christian. Yeah.
I was,
I was like, that's kind of
yeah.
like a neighbor or cousin to Catholicism.
I thought they were the same thing, to be honest. I thought they were just like interchangeable in terms of their wording.
I think it's like a Protestant umbrella, and then there's different branches off of it. So, like, you have Baptist, Methodist that are close. Catholicism, I feel like they rely more on Mary, Jesus's mom,
Hmm.
and we acknowledge her, but she's not really talked about as much. I was like, I don't know too much about it. It's just very not ritualistic, but they just do a lot with their services. I think they do like the Lord's Supper every Sunday, taking the blood and all that.
I think that's what we did when we were
Yeah.
going. My family was going to church. I just assumed it was like, I don't know if we were Christian or we were Catholic or what, but we did that.
Hmm.
We did that the body and the blood thing where it was just like a stale cracker and like the
Yeah.
blood is the fruit punch or grape juice of like Christ.
Right.
I was like, are we? I don't want to get it mixed up. Are we Christian or are we Catholic? Not sure.
Yeah. Not
It
really
isn't.
sure. I was like, I feel like Catholics are Christians because they acknowledge Jesus. But yeah, it's just the ceremonies are different. Catholic seems to be more intense. I've never been to a service, I've only seen movies. It just seems like they have the old school churches with the beautiful architecture and like
Mm.
the stained glass windows. And then they've got this beautiful a cappella choir. And I don't know, it's just more involved. I was like, I know we don't do exorcisms.
Uh, we we moved to so many churches throughout my like childhood and my high school era. Literally moved from church to church. I think we stuck with one mostly when I was a child, and then we moved when I was in like my senior year of high school, and then we just like we went through three different churches to see where we fit in,
Hmm.
and then we couldn't decide on which church we did fit in, so we did like we went to like a really like one of those extravagant churches, where they filmed like their ceremonies online,
Oh
or
yeah.
that their sermon that their not the ceremonies, the sermons. Like they
Yeah.
have like a whole broadcast of it online. They have cameras and stuff. So we did that, and then we moved back to Hemet, and then we just went back to our old church for a few more years until we decided to just like we just stopped going entirely.
Hmm.
We just weren't really feeling it anymore, and the audience numbers were like slowly like dropping lower and lower and lower and lower. Like, I mean, I won't say what church it was out of respect, but
Right.
you know, that's why we just stopped going in. I wasn't like half the time I wasn't even paying attention to what the pastor was talking about. I think I probably told you this, but I was always in the very very back of the church because it was practically empty. It was only like a few people sitting in there, and I was reading The Hunger Games or Harry Potter, and they were asking my mom, why is your son sitting in the very back, or why is he like sitting out in the lobby, and just like he should be in here paying attention. I'm just like, I didn't even want to. I didn't even want to go. My
Yeah.
mom, my mom made us go.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like obligatory when I was a child in my teens. Like, oh, you have to go because you go to all these fun things and you have to participate and blah blah blah. I'm like, okay. But then I just started like, you know what? I just started like thinking about things, and you know when you get older and you're told certain things by your parents or like your adults or your family members about what to believe, but then
Mm-hmm.
when you get older, you start to like question and doubt certain things that don't really make sense to you. Does that happen to you?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think everybody goes to that. That's how you kind of grow.
Yeah.
Um, if you, it's kind of the thing. You shouldn't be afraid to question anything, especially your beliefs. You know, I'm like, I was like, I lost my train of thought, but I was like, it's okay to question because if your beliefs are that strong, asking a simple question should not make you be any less of a believer. Like it's okay to question things because there's things that are happening, now that didn't happen back years ago, or things that don't make sense. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
everybody thinks that way.
Well,
Yeah, I really didn't say too much in the book. Father Karras, did he just, because he was a priest, did he just like kind of lose his faith because his mother died and he felt like she died alone in a nursing home, that he just wasn't there, so he just felt guilt for that? Because
I
that's
think it
kind of
was.
what the demon got in his head and was talking as his mom and was trying to sway him that way.
Yeah, I think with Father Karras, it was more or less like a personal battle.
Mm-hmm.
More like that's the whole thing when he was like talking one on one with like the spirit within Reagan or spirits. It was more like a he. I think it was he was approaching it from more of a like I guess like psychological standpoint, maybe like
Mm-hmm.
a doctoral standpoint. He was trying to. I guess he was trying to prove first that Reagan wasn't possessed, that she was faking it, or had some kind of a mental diagnosis that's causing her to do all these erratic behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he had conversations, but slowly he became to realize that she was in fact possessed by a spirit that was mimicking all these other spirits that it had taken, whether it would be his mother or Berkeley.
Yeah, it made me think of it, like they kind of paralleled to me with the ritual of Chud, how Pennywise is not necessarily like a demon, but like an alien being. He could be a demon. I don't know. He's super old. People really don't know too much about him, but
Huh.
just how there was that mental pull between Bill and Richie and Pennywise, and it's kind of the same thing in this book. Um, it's not more of a physical thing, but you just have to, you're just such a strong will, and how he was trying to penetrate into their brains too. I thought of that. I was like, that is pretty cool. I thought of Signs as well. I really like that movie. That one, I felt like it did it a lot better. I don't know if it's based like on a book or if it's just M. Night Shyamalan writing the movie, but I thought Mel Gibson's character with him, I felt like his descent with him just turning his back on God was so much more prevalent and done so well. I think that's why I kept comparing it. I was like, I like this one better.
Oh, see if there was like one last question. So I think we talked about all we wanted to with this book. We both think we gave it different reading. We gave it different ratings, but we have like given our reasons about what we liked or disliked, what did and didn't work for us,
Hmm.
all without spoiling anything. I mean, again, like if you like, we would absolutely recommend this book. We just didn't want to spoil any like big plot twists or details that you didn't want to know about.
Hmm.
But you probably knew about it anyway if you been on the internet or looked up anything like Exorcist related, because it is one of the biggest pop culturally significant movies ever made.
Hmm. I feel like the score of that too, for even casual horror fans. I feel like Halloween's the first one that people would recognize. And then I
Yeah,
feel like The Exorcist is pretty up there too. When
and The
he stand
Shining.
Yeah, in The Shining. As like I feel like if that those music was played, you can picture the movie or the book in your head.
Yeah, they played that theme when I went to Spirit. I was just like, yeah, you know exactly what score that movie or score that what movie that score is
Mhm.
from.
You can picture the poster of him just standing there, and it's dark, and the light shining, and the fog's rolling in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I liked the book. I just wasn't as entertained. It's not one I would reread a lot. I think maybe if I reread it, maybe I would pick up something more on it, but I didn't think it was that deep to me.
Yeah, maybe I will read it or reread it at some point. It probably won't. It may not happen within. Maybe not within the next year. Maybe I'll pick it up when I'm like a little older, just
Hmm.
to kind of revisit it. Maybe I'll have like a completely different experience with it if I read it like maybe when I'm in my 50s.
Yeah.
But uh,
Yeah, I'm a solid 3 star. Like I was just like, it wasn't bad, but I was like, man, I saw a lot of 5 stars. And I was like, no.
sorry. I get it though. I was looking at I was looking at Goodreads and like Fables ratings, and you're not the only one who gave it like a 3 star rating. I've seen star ratings who give it like a 3.5, and people have their reasons for not getting into it,
Hmm.
and it's completely understandable.
Yeah, I think I might read some ratings. I didn't really read any. See if people have different ideas that it might hit or something that I didn't think of. But yeah, this one, it was good, but
Mhm.
I think it's one of those that I prefer the movie over the book.
It's a good book to read on Halloween though, or in
Hmm.
October. It is a great October read. So, any closing thoughts, Heather, before we sign off?
No, not that I can think of. I think that was pretty much it.
All right. Well, we just like to keep it like trying to keep it like short and brief, even though we do a lot of rambling on here.
Yeah, this one, like I said, it was pretty much straight to the point. I wasn't getting a lot of symbolism. I wasn't getting any like extra layers, extra metaphors. It was just, it is what it is.
Oh yeah. Um, Forgot to mention our book for this month, which we're going to be talking about in December.
Mhm.
So Heather picked this month's or last month's book, so I get to pick this month's book, and I've already chosen it, and I found a copy in my library,
Oh, good.
and the book is put it right there.
Yeah, blood on her tongue.
Blood in Her Tongue by Johanna van Veen. And yeah, supposedly this is a vampire book. And, you know, I'm also reading Twilight. So I guess I'm just in a vampiric mood.
I understand. I did a whole like vamp September. I watched a bunch of vampire movies and read vampire books. So yeah, I've read My Darling Dreadful Thing by Johanna, and I've already read Blood on Her Tongue. I read that earlier, but I was like, I want to reread it because I did enjoy it. Spoilers.
I'll let you know what we think of it, or our overall thoughts on the book once we finish it, and we will see you guys next month with a new episode. So I am Brandon the Beldam,
Yes, I am Forehead Heather.
and
Keep it weird.
your mother sucks cocks in hell.
Yeah, yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye. It's like, are we still live?
Yeah. Come on, guys. Just freaking end the stream already.
It doesn't want to let us go.
Yeah, it's this old